Look at me, I'm back. Did you miss me? I missed you. I tried making this like as best as I can to make it look somewhat nice. I see the problem. I tried to make the green screen look a little nice, despite the fact that it hasn't been ironed in like months. Hello, welcome to the Wild Review. I'm the Wild Reviewer. Welcome back to the Wild Review universe. No, that's not what it's called. Welcome back to the Wild Review series in general. It's been a little while since you've seen me. Last time you saw me, I was in this exact spot with this green screen, with this laptop and table. I had a few friends with me though, and we spent a good 2 hours my time, close to 1 hour your time, watching some fun Christmas commercials.
There's a new story every day.
I'll tell you how to get a whoopee.
This movie sucks! So what am I doing now? Why have I returned? Well, I've got a pretty fun journey for all of us to go on. That's right, everybody. 31 more Wild Halloween review nights. Just because it's September doesn't mean we can't start early. Trust me when I say this, you will probably never see me do something like that again. Now, I'm done with the mini-series. There's no more holiday mini-series. This isn't a one-off special. This is actually something pretty fun for me. I mean, all of this is fun, but I thought of a pretty interesting idea, and I thought it'd be fun to try out. I've been doing the Wild Review for quite a while, and regardless if it's doing the actual series and then taking a huge gap, deciding that I won't do it anymore, but then coming back for a one-off special to talk about something or do a mini-series like I've been doing, I have been doing the Wild Review for quite a while. I guess at this point now, seeing that it's been 5+ years, I have videos that are pretty old now. My first Wild Review episode was published back in March of 2015, and since then, my opinions on a lot of the shows and films, it is very possible they could have changed. I have grown as an individual, mentally, not maybe physically or facially, but my opinion on a lot of the things that I talked about in these earlier Wild Review episodes have clearly changed. Once in a while I would come across the stuff that I know I've talked about before, and I know for a fact I've had a different opinion on a lot of the stuff that I've talked about. And that's just a common thing in life. Your opinion tends to change as the years go on. So since enough time has gone by, again it's been more than 5 years since a lot of these old videos have been put up, I thought it'd be interesting if I were to sit down at the nice blue table that I own, set up the green screen and put some weird stuff behind it, maybe themed to the topic of the video, and I watch over the past Wild Review episodes that I've done, and the whole point is just seeing if my argument, my opinion, my overall review stands today. Do I feel the same way about the certain film or TV show now as I did back then? It was an idea I had and I liked it. It's a series I'm calling The Wild Review Rewild.
Wild like wild.
I thought the name was cool. It's an okay name. So that's the idea of the show here. I'm going to sit down, check out a few of the old Wild Review episodes, and we're going to see if I still have the same feelings about the certain topics that I talk about. Specifically the old Wild Review episodes. I'm talking about the ones from seasons 1 to 3, specifically that era of the Wild Review, and I'll tell you why, because if you've been with me for a while, you'll know that there was definitely a change in the Wild Review format. I think I mostly went into detail about it when the 100th episode came around, but if you've known this show for a while, if you've been with me since the beginning, you'll know that season 1 through season 3 was kind of a show, and I wasn't being myself. Because from season 1 to season 3, I was definitely trying to put on a show. I got very inspired by Doug Walker's The Nostalgia Critic, which seems to be a common source that a lot of reviewers online look towards when trying to do a review series. But it wasn't even just him, it was just a bunch of different review channels that I watched. And all that inspiration gave me an idea to do my own review series. And when I first started it, I was kind of playing a character. I called myself The Reviewer, which is a really bad name for a character, but I also started introducing recurring characters that I would try to get into some episodes occasionally. I would even do some skits, kind of ripping off The Nostalgia Critic a little. The more I think about it, I think it would have been a little funnier if I did a parody of a review series instead of trying to do a serious character review series, but In the end, it didn't end up working. Really, in season 4, that's when I stopped doing the character. The first 2 episodes, I stuck with the whole character series, but it wasn't until I got a copyright strike on the Elf on the Shelf video where that kind of gave me a little wake-up call that maybe the funny character review series I'm trying to do here, maybe it's not working. And also, there was just something about me sitting down in front of the camera, being honest and giving my honest review on things that I had just seen in theaters or things I've been watching on TV that felt more fun. I was having more fun just being honest. Now, that being said, a lot of the things that I said in the earlier Wild Review episodes during that character series arc of the Wild Review, some of those comments were very honest. Majority of them were jokes, but a lot of them were my genuine feelings at the time about the certain thing I was talking about. There was just this lingering story that I tried doing where I was playing a character. That was the only thing that was setting it apart from genuine sit-down review videos. So I'm mostly going to be looking back at videos from that particular time of the Wild Review, from seasons 1 to 3. There may be an occasional video where I watch something from season 4 or 5. I'm going to try to stay away from the new stuff, specifically season 6 and the mini-series that I've done and the one-off special. I'm going to try to stay away from that stuff, especially the holiday mini-series, actually, because those are a bit too recent. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just sit down, we're going to check out a younger me talking about stuff, and we're going to see if it still holds up. And the first one that we're going to start with is the one that started it all, the one that got me stuck into doing this sort of thing. We're going to check out the first Wild Review episode, Sponge Out of Water. It was the second SpongeBob movie, the sequel to the first SpongeBob movie back in 2004. This one was released in 2015, so, you know, a bit of a gap there. And one more thing before we get started, I thought something that could also be potentially fun for this project is if I wear the same shirt that I wore in the video itself. I thought that would be a cute and also pretty sad thing. Would it be sad? I mean, I really didn't grow that much. I thought it would be a good idea, and then as I was looking for the shirt that I wore in the SpongeBob video, turns out I don't have it. I do, however, have this sweater that I rarely ever wear. It's kind of similar. It's got some buttons. It's also a little heavy. I mean, it's not heavy like a sweater, but you know, wearing a long shirt in humid 80-degree weather, that works, right? My air conditioner's on, so I can stay cool enough. Alright, let's see how this idea holds up. Alright, here we go. This is the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, from 2015. Let's see how it holds up. So last Friday, me, my brother, and a couple of my brother's friends went to go to the movies to see this new SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. So I'm not going to do this all the time. This isn't like a fun fact kind of series. I mean, it can be, but this is a little fun fact that I'd like to share. This is the only Wild Review episode that I know of, that I remember, that doesn't have any introduction at all. Being that this was the first episode, I didn't know if I was going to do an intro or an outro. There definitely wasn't the intro theme music that would later come in season 3, because as you know, I actually had a show intro rather than just the greeting I do in every video, but this one didn't have any of that, because I was still trying to figure out if I wanted to do it, if I didn't. This one was the test to see if I shouldn't have one, and I believe the next one was the one where I did one, and it just so happened that it stuck in the second one. That's a little fun fact for you guys. You probably didn't need to know that. I've had my doubts about SpongeBob. I definitely have my own opinion on him, and I think my opinion is that SpongeBob needs to end in a way. The series needs to like seriously end. It's been on for a really long time. It's been on Nickelodeon since 1999. But you know, I hear these things about the show. It's like season 1 to 3 are the best seasons ever, which I can agree with. And then the movie came, and season 4 was somewhat of a mixture of both good and bad. But towards the end of season 4, on to season 5 onward, it's just been a mess. Okay, so I haven't changed that much when it comes to my opinion with SpongeBob. So in 2015, SpongeBob was in its ninth season, and episodes such as Lost in Bikini Bottom, Yeti Crabs, Tudor Sauce, all those episodes premiered, and we are currently up to season 12, I think, heading towards season 13, or we may be in season 13 of SpongeBob. With that said, my opinion stands. SpongeBob needs to meet its end at some point. I still stick with that argument. Seasons 1 to 3 is the golden age of SpongeBob, and I think everybody at this point acknowledges that. I've seen a lot of people talk about that seasons 1 to 3 are great. Seasons 4 and 5, they're okay. I think I lean towards more of season 4 because there are some memorable moments from season 4. Season 5 is it's Season 5 did give us some pretty good episodes. They gave us Friend or Foe. I do like Friend or Foe. But anything onward, yes, it is definitely a huge mess. I have seen some recent SpongeBob episodes. The only new SpongeBob episode that I like is the Christmas one, and I just think the Christmas one has something different to it that we don't see in SpongeBob. And that's another thing that I also agree with. The Christmas episode they did, the stop-motion one, was very good. I really enjoyed that one. I also really enjoyed the Halloween stop-motion one that they did. There's something about the stop-motion SpongeBob episodes that feel fresh and new. I just like how they're done. The holiday specials, they definitely do right. There are only 2 SpongeBob Christmas specials. Goons on the Moon does not count. It does not count. That is not a Christmas episode. So stop it. For me, it's an okay movie. The only reason I say okay is because it didn't fulfill my excitement for it, and the trailers and the posters, they all have something in common. Like, every advertisement that you see about the SpongeBob movie, it all has something in common. It's misleading. It's a misleading trailer. It's a misleading poster. Everything is misleading about this. Nickelodeon is giving false marketing on this movie, making it sound like something that it's not. Believe me, I thought it was going to be something. I thought it was going to be something else. Alright, so this was the biggest argument I had about this movie. I could have sworn I said it a lot more throughout the video, but apparently I don't. Yes, this movie is very misleading. I still stick with that. This movie had a huge misleading marketing strategy for the film. We were under the impression, watching the trailer, that it was going to be an out-of-water adventure, that they were going to go above surface for the first time, because they've never done that before, apparently. And we were all expecting that the film would take place above ground, and that the characters would be CG. But in actuality, that's not what happened. A good chunk of the movie actually takes place under the water, in classic 2D animation style, which is great. Around this time, 2D animation was very uncommon to see in movie theaters or in movies in general. I think 2D animation films are great. I understand why they aren't done as much anymore, because it is obviously cheaper to do CG animation, but there's something very unique about those 2D animated films. Mostly because that was what you expected when you went to a movie theater to see an animated film back in the day. Just classic 2D animation. CGI really didn't start until, I want to say maybe Pixar? And look where we are now. Every animated film is CG. And even if it is 2D like this one, they find a way to put CG in it somehow. But to get back on track, the movie definitely was not what a lot of people expected it to be. It had a huge misleading marketing strategy. And all the stuff that we do see in the trailers happens at the end. But I also didn't really mind that most of the CG stuff was at the end of the film, because majority of it was 2D animation, which I really enjoyed. So everything we're seeing in the trailer and in the poster and everything that we see about this movie, that's all at the end. Which makes me want to punch the TV for kind of spoiling the ending. Yeah, it makes me want to punch the TV for spoiling the ending of the film. It really wasn't that spoiled, though. Like, the actual ending of the film was not spoiled. Just what the final act of the film was spoiled. Nothing else was shown on TV, only that final act. Which, looking back, does not bother me like it used to. I'm actually perfectly fine with it. So that's one thing that I disagree with my past self on. I'm okay with the fact that they showed most of the final acts, because we got a lot of the good stuff saved. The 2D animation was really good, and it was the most fun parts in the film, I think. But I get what he's obviously arguing. It shouldn't have been marketed like this. They should have done a better job. So after seeing it, what it somewhat turned out to be was that it was the story of a pirate named Burgerbeard who was definitely searching for a magic book, and instead of like just saying it's a magic book, he reads SpongeBob's life or something like that. He's reading the story of SpongeBob, which makes me now wonder, is SpongeBob's whole life in this book? Like, is every episode of SpongeBob in the book? So this is a good point. This is something I actually did want to bring up. I guess I should have said in the beginning that something else I'm going to be doing with this project is I'm going to also be rewatching the things that I've been talking about, so I have at least an idea of what I was talking about. And fortunately for me, Nickelodeon tends to play Sponge Out of Water a lot. I've seen Sponge Out of Water a number of times since it's been in theaters, mostly on television, on Nickelodeon, and it did dawn on me something about the book storyline. It doesn't... Something's not right there. If you don't know, this book surrounds the idea that there is this magic book that the pirate Burgerbeard finds, and he's reading it, and it's a story about SpongeBob, but if he writes in it, anything he writes in it magically comes to life. So in this case, he writes that he gets the secret formula, and he takes it for himself, and he opens up his own burger joint. He turns his ship into his own restaurant, and that's what causes the SpongeBob characters to go above ground to get it back. Now I've got two questions on this topic, but they kind of revolve around the same thing, and that's the question whether or not SpongeBob's life is told in this book. If you erase something, does that mean he loses the memory of it? Does it not happen? Will it ever happen? The other question I have about it surrounds Burgerbeard. Why does he want the Krabby Patty formula? Why does he want to open up his own restaurant? Why can't he just create his own burger? What's the point of even getting the magic book in the beginning to get the Krabby Patty? Is that what it is? Is SpongeBob a TV show in this world? They have an interesting plot, but I feel like it's very messy now looking back at it, and it's very hard to understand. What should have happened, what I think would have worked pretty well, thinking about it now, is you should have had Burgerbeard discover the legend of this magic book, which just so happens to be on the island that we see in SpongeBob, and he takes the book. Based on the legend, it turns out that anything you write in it comes true. And if he had dreams to open up his own restaurant, he should have said, I wish I had the best-selling burger in the world, or something along those lines. Something that would automatically give him the patty formula, which would have easily had led into the chain of events that we see in the movie. Just get rid of SpongeBob in the book entirely and just make it a magic book where anything you write in it happens. And the film would have probably stayed the same. You just would have taken out that SpongeBob's in the book arc. That's just a thought. That's something I thought about. So, I guess I agree with that. So the town goes in havoc. We don't know where the formula went. And it's basically a time-traveling film. And it isn't until an hour, like I said, until we go above the water to find the formula with the burger guy, or the pirate guy, and they become the Avengers, and then the movie's over. And yes, the ending is Avengers. The ending is definitely giving off Avengers vibes. I guess that's because around this time Avengers were very popular. This is when the MCU was getting a bit intense. We were in the middle of it essentially. I think Ultron was coming out around this time. Clearly marketing off the superhero films that were heavily being produced around that time. Now, like I said, this movie has negatives and positives. The negatives, however, there are quite a lot. Alright, now it's time for the things that I liked and didn't like about it, which I, for some reason, referred to as the negatives and positives of the film. So let's start with the negatives. Like, I don't like the fact on how Slash, or the hot girls, or Patrick's pants coming off, or the fact on how Burgerbeard shows that he's got the formula. I don't like the fact on how any of that stuff was in the film. I think it should have been in the film. Not even the Monday song that was put on YouTube. That wasn't even in the film, and I thought that was going to be in the film. The trailer, like I've already mentioned, is a big problem. The marketing for this film was absolutely crazy, showing off things that really don't happen. But yes, the trailer also shows stuff that is not in the film. Not only is it misleading you on what to expect for the majority of the film, but it is also showing scenes that do not happen in the film. There is a scene with these two very attractive young ladies. They are nowhere to be seen in the film. Instead, in their place is Nice Peter and Epic Lloyd from the YouTube channel Epic Rap Battles of History. If you know that channel, they're still producing content. I guess the reason why they specifically were in the film is because of the rap battle at the end, which we will touch upon. Something else that was not in the film, but also wasn't in the trailer necessarily, was the Monday song. Nickelodeon released this song, which I guess was supposed to help promote the movie, where SpongeBob sung a song about Mondays. I expected that to be one of the first things in the film, but we never got that. So I'm assuming, looking back on it, maybe that was just a promo for it, maybe not necessarily something that was going to be in the film. It would have been nice if it was in the film, but we didn't get that. Plus, if you look at it a certain way, the plot doesn't really make sense, considering the way that it's going. The pirate takes the book, he's reading it to his bird friends, I guess, and, you know, he's just reading the story, formula goes missing, and we see clips of him reading the book, but then he doesn't read the book, and then he goes on land. And it's really confusing. We don't even see him take it. We hear that he takes the formula, but we don't see it. We see it in the trailer, though. And yes, the plot doesn't make entire sense. We've kind of already established this with the book comments. It would have been really great to see the formula be taken, but we didn't see that. Enough with the negatives. There are some good parts about the movie, like on how one of my favorite YouTubers, Epic Rap Battles of History, are in it. Yeah, Nice Peter and Epic Lloyd made a little cameo in it, but also had something to do with the awesome rap battle at the end, which was pretty cool. Alright, so now to talk about ERB and Nice Peter and Epic Lloyd. I think they're great creators. They didn't really need to be in this movie. The rap battle was okay. When I look at it now, I find myself not watching it. It has kind of a weird place in the movie. I mean, it is at the ending, but I don't know. I look back at it and I just kind of question, why was it even needed? Yeah, part of me feels like they did this because at the time Nickelodeon was experimenting with a lot of online creators. Now, this wasn't necessarily around the time that they had Fred on TV. They were doing the Fred movies. That came and went, but they were starting to shine some lights on some very popular internet personalities, and they're just trying to make money off of them. They're trying to be hip. They're trying to fit in with the current generation, which is growing up on YouTube and internet content. And personally, while it was nice to see Nice Peter and Epic Lloyd in the SpongeBob film for a quick second and make comments about the burgers, also the most weird comments anybody would probably make about the Krabby Patty. It's actually really weird seeing somebody make a bad comment about it, but also really funny to watch because we don't really know what's in those burgers. That's actually really funny, but the rap battle, we didn't really need it. You know, looking back 5+ years later, was it really needed? I could have done without it. Also, something that SpongeBob doesn't do that much, it shows other things from other episodes. It has continuity in this movie. It's got little references to other SpongeBob episodes, good and bad, and at the end of the movie, if you stick around to it, at the end credits you can see Squidward dancing. Continuity, I don't know what that is. What you mean, little boy, is continuity. I don't know why you kept saying quantinuity. That's not how you say it. But yes, the continuity, the little references, and definitely the Squidward dance at the end of the film and the credits, those were all fun to watch. And I really enjoyed seeing all that stuff. usually continuity in SpongeBob and little references like that, you don't typically see those. SpongeBob is not a show that links on to continuity in any sort of way. There are a few times where continuity is important, like when they bring back Bubble Buddy, and I think that's it. You know, continuity isn't a big thing with SpongeBob. SpongeBob is like a Looney Tunes cartoon or a Tom and Jerry one, where each 10-minute cartoon is different. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, that's also continuity. But it's really cool to see in this film that they did some callbacks to some other classic stuff from the golden age of SpongeBob. I think that's mostly because Steven Hillenburg was, again, part of this project, so that was really cool to watch. That's my opinion on the SpongeBob movie. I give it an okay... It's an okay movie. If you want to see it, I don't even know if it's in theaters by the time this is out, but you should definitely see it if you're a SpongeBob fan. If you're not a SpongeBob fan, then don't see it. So you can definitely tell this is old because I gave this movie a rating. I don't usually give ratings anymore. I've stopped giving ratings. I don't necessarily know why I stopped. It had nothing to do with the transition from playing a character to just generally being myself. I guess I just stopped doing them. I kind of forgot to do them, I guess, as time went on. With that said, I gave this film an okay movie. I would give 3 different ratings for films or TV shows. I would either call them good, okay, or bad. And this one was okay. Do I still think it's okay? Yeah. No. It's not the best movie. The SpongeBob movie, the first one, is much better. But this one is a close second. And that has nothing to do with the fact it is the second SpongeBob movie. I did definitely enjoy this when it first came out. And when I occasionally find it on TV and tune in to watch little bits of it, not necessarily the whole thing, but when I watch it now, I do enjoy it. There are still some bits I enjoy, and there are some that I can honestly care less about, but it's not that bad. It's not that bad of a film, but my rating sticks. I still think it's an okay movie, and majority of things that I said in this video, I still stand by. There are things that I can disagree with a little in regards to the things I've said, but majority of it I do agree with. So it holds up. Yeah. And that's going to do it for the Sponge Out of Water Rewild review. I do know that I gave my opinion on Sponge Out of Water again, I think later on in season 1. I think I did a Wild review episode where I took a few different films that I had talked about prior, kind of get my thoughts about it again to see if they still hold up. So I think I might have already done this, but I didn't look back on that because I just remembered I did an episode like that. It doesn't matter, it's like 6 years later, so my opinion matters now. So with that all said, let me give you one more little extra treat, something I'm throwing in here last minute, because I guess it is only fitting. We've established that SpongeBob is still currently going on, and believe it or not, a third SpongeBob movie has been released. Not recently, but actually last year, the third SpongeBob movie came out. It was supposed to be released worldwide in theaters, but for some reason that didn't happen, and I have no idea why. So instead, the third movie, Sponge on the Run, was released on Netflix everywhere else in the world except for the United States and Canada. So the country that the movie came from, we did not see it until a year later when it premiered on Paramount Plus. It wasn't on Netflix. It was on the new Paramount Plus streaming site that was released earlier this year. I don't have Paramount Plus currently, but earlier this year I did have it for an unrelated project. But I had a free trial. I wasn't paying for it. I had a 1-month free trial because I knew I wasn't keeping it. And I figured, you know what the hell, I got a few extra days with this streaming site because I had finished what I needed to do with it. Let's check out the SpongeBob movie. So here's a little bonus review for all of you. I'm not going to go into too much detail and give a thorough Wild review. This is just going to be a little quick one because I think it's only right. We did talk about the second SpongeBob movie. Now let's talk about the third one. SpongeBob on the Run does deserve the number 3 because not only is it the third SpongeBob movie, but it is in third place in the ranking of my favorite SpongeBob movies. In the exact order that it's in, with 1, 2, and 3, 3 is last. I didn't enjoy this one. I really like the animation style. I really enjoyed that. It was different from the typical CGI you would expect, but this one actually had like textures. The music wasn't that bad. I definitely liked the song they sang about the formula at the end. I enjoy that, but other than that, I felt like I was watching not only a movie version of Have You Seen This Snail mixed in with SpongeBob Movie 1 elements, but I also felt like I was watching an excuse to introduce people to Camp Coral, which is the somewhat controversial SpongeBob prequel series that I still question why it was made. Snoop Dogg's in the movie. Also, Keanu Reeves plays a talking tumbleweed named Sage. Or maybe he is a sage. I don't know, I associated him with a tumbleweed because he looks like one. I could be wrong. He was in that movie too long, too. I thought Keanu Reeves was just going to have like one scene, but he was in it a lot, and I can't understand why. There are bits I liked. There were bits I liked about the third movie, but majority of it, I was just kind of sitting there wondering, why? What the hell? That's it. That's literally all I have to say about it. It was a film. I watched it, and it's okay if I never see it again. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode, the premiere episode of the Wild Review Rewild. Let me know if you like this style. Let me know if you like this idea, this particular spin-off project I'm doing. And also, I got a few of these lined up. I'm going to be giving this series a try for at least another few episodes. I'm aiming to do 12 for at least this season of it. And I'm always up for doing another season. Let's see how this one goes. But if you have any in particular Wild Review episodes you would like me to look back on and you want to know, hey, what do I think about what I said about this particular video or this movie, let me know in the comments. So thanks for watching the Wild Review Rewild. I'm the Wild Reviewer, and you just saw me review a thing. No, review... Alright, I'll work on an ending.
Wild like wild.